What's going on, YouTube? Anthony Joshua versus Charles Martin for the IBF belt. What was it, April 9th, 2016? Hopefully it happens. But yeah, I saw the press conference and everything, so it looks pretty much official, man. It was just a rumor not too long ago. But it's official now. It's on Boss Rec and everything. And they even got it on Wikipedia. So as of now, barring any kind of injury, it's like official. So I think this is a mistake for Anthony Joshua. I don't think he should be fighting Charles Martin. Charles Martin got a late start, pretty much like Anthony Joshua. Charles Martin was late stars a little bit later. Amateur fights, Charles Martin has had a lot of amateur fights compared to Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua looked to be an amateur from 2009 to 2012, right? And I believe he has 43. So 43 amateur fights. He was 40-3. He was able to capture Olympic gold medal. And Charles Martin, that was in 2012. In 2012, Charles Martin looks like he got his start as far as the amateurs. I don't know how long he's been boxing, but as far as the amateur thing, it looks like he had about 60-something odd fights, more fights than Anthony Joshua, and he was able to capture a Golden Gloves award, I believe. I'm not sure if it was a national Golden Gloves. He was runner up, and then he was a national PAL champion in 2012. So he was pretty active in 2012, but yeah, man, it's just the whole Wikipedia thing. I think he's he's a late bloomer. He started boxing at age 22, and I believe Anthony Joshua was 17 when he started boxing. But yeah, supposedly he has more amateur fights. Yeah, 20 more amateur fights. This is what I'm checking out, man. I'll put a link in the description below of Anthony Joshua, the box rec, his information. Then it's got this Wikipedia.org, some information on Charles Martin, because Charles Martin is pretty much unknown, and I just got through looking at the Glashkov, Vasilev Glashkov, if I'm pronouncing his name right. I know the last name is Glashkov. Let's go with Tsar Glashkov, man. Fight with Charles Martin. Charles Martin, he really started off slow, and he really started to let his hands go. Right when Glashkov got injured in that third round, he was really letting his hands go. He was landing with that left, man. He looks stiff. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have much bounce in his legs and stuff like that. But as far as his demeanor and everything, as was mentioned by the color commentators, he is poised. And he does always seem to be in position, always in the right position to let his hands go. He kept his hands up. He kept using the jab and whatever like that, right? So, as far as his legs and everything, I pretty much got to, I think he's pretty much on par with Bermain Stavern. Probably maybe a taller version of maybe Bermain Stavern. Limited foot movement or whatever like that. But as far as him being having his hands prepared to counter punch or to let his hands go, he's pretty much on point. You know what I'm saying? He's pretty much on point on that one. From what I heard, Bermain Stavern's last performance wasn't all too great. But what we seen with him versus Chris Arreola, I'm saying that's right. Chris Arreola, yeah. he it's pretty much on the same level. But anyway, enough about Bermain Stiverne. Charles Martin. Um, I don't think it's a good fight for Anthony Joshua, man. I'm just saying because I just watched some of the Dillian White fight, and then I believe Boxing Beats and Rhymes had reported that Dillian White wants like a rematch with him, and he reiterated some of the comments that Dillian White had made, talking about he can't defend that left, and Dillian White was able to get in not only that left hook to the top of the head that dazed Anthony Joshua, but he was doing great with that left hook to the body. He was landing that very good. He said Anthony Joshua was like, I believe he was saying like Anthony Joshua was able to block the right, but as far as anything coming from the left, he's not too good at defending it. And then I noticed in this fight, like the first 3 rounds between Anthony Joshua and Dillian White, that Anthony Joshua gets winded pretty quick. Dillian White's like really small, man. Dillian White is like way smaller than Anthony Joshua. It's like he had a growth spurt from the last time they met. And he's like 2 sizes bigger than he was when they first fought. They were pretty much they're even, they were pretty much even in the amateurs. But that was some years ago, Anthony Joshua's 26-year-old man now. And he's really filling out, you know what I'm saying? He was 6'6". He's about like 6'6" right now. And so, yeah, man, it wasn't the greatest performance, man. Like, I had Dillian White winning. I thought this, Dillian White's character, his machismo, his heart really, like, carried him in that fight. And I thought that's what was going to carry him in the victory. I knew he threw a lot of looping punches and stuff like that. He has long arms. So as far as like the reach and everything, I had a feeling he wouldn't have too much of a problem with that. But you even see it in the amateur fight with Anthony Joshua versus Dillian White. Anthony Joshua was still the dude throwing the straighter punches and stuff like that. And so, but it seems like he does have an issue with guys who are a little bit wild and unorthodox and stuff like that, because he's trying to get his punches off, and while he's getting his punches off, I don't think he's too defensively responsible, Anthony Joshua. But going back to Charles Martin, yeah, I'm gonna post a link up to that, Anthony Joshua, maybe Charles Martin, the fights and stuff like that. You guys are gonna review it yourself. And then the articles and stuff like that. So I'll post a link up to that. But to me, this is a mistake, because after that fight, Anthony Joshua was mentioning, he was like, hey, I don't think I'm ready yet to step up. And maybe somebody whispered in his ear and saying, hey, you are ready. We got to get this thing going. Because, Anthony Joshua pretty much almost like franchising himself, man. He's got like a brand and everything like that. I think he just signed up with I believe somebody said it was like Under Armour or something. So he's really, pushing the envelope as far as them being a star and everything like that. So he's really trying to get this belt. This IBF belt will do him wonders, as far as like boosting up his name, his brand, and stuff like that. He's really trying to brand himself. He's got him a little team and everything together. But, at the same time, Charles Martin, we don't know who Charles Martin is. Charles Martin is a guy who's looks to have more amateur fights. Was a Golden Gloves runner-up. Looks like he's only spent like 1 year. That's a whole lot of fights, man. I'm looking at this on Wikipedia, and it's kind of crazy that he'll have like 60-something fights in 1 year as far as being an amateur. But yeah, man, he's not that much older than Anthony Joshua, and from my understanding, they both have some kind of record regarding drug trafficking. So Charles Martin had to do some time in prison. It looked like he's back on track. He got his GED, which was reported by the color commentators on that Glashkov fight. And pretty much here you go. Another guy who's I wouldn't say the chosen one. He's not picked. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Joshua, he's handpicked, man. He's got the physique. He's got the look. You know, he's looked like to be the establishment pick. You know what I'm saying? And Charles Martin, he's like a he's not the one. You know what I'm saying? He's not picked. Nobody saw him coming, man. He's like the ugly duckling that happens to be laying like the golden egg, that has like the golden egg, if not laying the golden eggs right now. You know what I'm saying? He's you know what I'm saying, he's got what everybody wants. And he pretty much came out of nowhere, and he's got a good team behind him. I believe his trainer was the amateur standout. I forgot what they said his name was, his trainer. Forgot his trainer's name. But anyway, Anthony Joshua mentioned that he wasn't ready. He mentioned that he wasn't ready in the press conference. I believe it was Eddie Hearn. He mentioned that, like, yeah, it's a risk, but it's a risk they're willing to take. You know, Anthony Joshua's team was willing to take. They weren't sure whether they wanted him, Anthony Joshua, on the world scene. Charles Martin, as far as him being on the world scene, it looks like he's just ready to just go ahead and take the next step, man. He was like, yeah, I just want to unify the belts. I want to fight right now, and I want to unify the belts. As soon as they put the belt on his way, he's like, yeah, I want another fight right now, because he's a very humble. It seems like a very humble guy, and Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, seems like a very prideful man. Maybe a little bit boastful, or maybe you can say arrogant, but I don't think that's just self-confidence, which I'm not knocking. You know what I'm saying? It's good to have that confidence in himself, but it might just be that he has a little bit of self-doubt, and Charles Martin is just humbled. You know what I'm saying? He's not a big talker or anything like that. He's well, when I say big talker, he's not. How would you say, like, quick-witted? No, he's not Paulie Malignaggi, you know what I'm saying? he's not Paulie, you know what I'm saying? He's not a big talker, man. He's not like Ali or Paulie Malignaggi, where neither is Anthony Joshua. Seems to be more polished or whatever like that. And in the press conference, Charles Martin seems to be, happy that, appreciative that he has the belt, but he desires more, so I don't think he's like top, so I don't think he's a boastful guy at all. But that being that on character and stuff like that, but Charles Martin, I just think he's gonna win, man. I just got a feeling that Anthony Joshua might be out of his element, man. After the third round with Dillian White, his hands were down. Third round with Glashkov, when Martin was going against Glashkov, his hands were up. He was still poised. He did a pretty good job, walking down, Glashkov, keeping his hands up. Even bending at the knees, Glashkov threw a couple punches. Martin was able to even bend his knees in a timely manner and stuff like that. And remember, he had a real height advantage over Glashkov that I noticed, and he was able to get up under some of his punches. So even though his he's not doesn't seem like he has that much buoyancy as far as like bounce or whatever like that. Yeah, it was a 3 inch difference. Glashkov threw a couple of punches. Martin was able to get up under those punches. So yeah, Joshua is going to be a little bit taller than by 1 inch on Charles Martin. And Martin's gonna be. I think he's gonna be able to dip up underneath some of those punches, and I really do think he's gonna be able to land that left hand at will, and he's gonna be able to not necessarily do all that bouncing around like Dillian Whyte did. I think Dillian Whyte was able to use more of his legs, but I think he's just gonna have to be able to use distance better. Just use distance. Be patient and get his punches off. Because Charles Martin, he throws a lot of hard punches, man. He throws a lot of hard punches, and he likes to knock people out himself. Let's see what his KO ratio is. His KO ratio is 88%. So you got a KO ratio of 88%. Anthony Joshua, his is at 100. He's at 100%. With 15 fights. And then you got Charles Martin. He's at 88% with 23 fights. Again, more professional fights. More experience than Anthony Joshua. I don't know how that's possible. He is older, but they started boxing around the same time. But anyway, this is how it is, man. Sometimes, it's like a kung fu movie, man. As far as like some guys, they can spend 10 years, just learning the basics of certain martial arts, and you got maybe another guy that pops on the scene, can learn it in maybe 3 years, not only learn the basics, but able to master it, you know what I'm saying? Because they have the aptitude to, understand and comprehend, and then apply the skills and the techniques, and be successful. So I think that's what we're seeing right here with Charles Martin. I don't think Charles Martin's gonna be bothered by not Dillian Whyte, but Anthony Joshua's uppercuts. The uppercuts that he was landing on Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte was really fatigued, and he was really leaning in heavy, which allowed Anthony Joshua to land a lot of great uppercuts, man, in that fight, man. A lot of great uppercuts. And but I don't think you're gonna see that with Charles Martin. I think Charles Martin's gonna keep his head up, probably to his detriment, but probably to his benefit, because he won't have to worry about those uppercuts. And I think Anthony Joshua really has to worry about Charles Martin's left hand coming at different angles. Not only that left hand, the jab, and him hooking off the jab and stuff like that with his right hand. But yeah, man, we'll see, man. We'll see. Because Charles Martin, he's not a small man. It's only a 1 inch difference. Reach advantage is the reach advantage and the height goes to Anthony Joshua. As far as the height, it's about 1 inch. He's 6'6". Charles Martin 6'5". Reach advantage, Anthony Joshua 86 inch reach advantage. Charles Martin 80 inch reach advantage. Reach. And then as far as like X factors, Charles Martin, he's unknown. He's unknown. He's relatively young. It's only like a 3-year age difference, and he's a southpaw. Hasn't taken that much damage. He just got the belt. And the X factor for Anthony Joshua is he's going to be in the O2 Arena, which has sold out. It says sold out in maybe a couple of hours or something like that. So they're going to be at the O2 Arena over there in the UK, which I don't have a problem with, man. It's gonna be in London, Greenwich, London. That's nice. And I guess it's the O2 Arena, aka the Millennium Dome, and Charles Martin's going to be defending his belt there. So I think some people were saying like you're not a real champion unless you go to somebody's hometown and defend your belt or something like that. To me, that's it'll be one thing if you go to a different like country or something like neutral territory and defend your belt or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Neutral territory. That'll be pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? Like do bring fights to different countries. And you're on neutral ground. But as far as fighting somebody else's backyard, I think that's like a disadvantage because you have the crowd that's constantly rooting for you. You got a lot of let's say like the Archer Spilka Deontay Wilder fight. It's supposed to be like neutral territory, but there's a lot of this big Polish fan base. But everything Archer Spilka did, everybody was rooting and cheering and stuff like that, and you can barely hear Deontay Wilder's fans or something like that. Polish fans, they really came out in support of Archer Spilka, which is great, for everybody because you're selling tickets and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of people want to make a good argument that the fight was close, and but I guess it really doesn't matter when you got the KO power. So yeah, the crowd is a factor, man. The crowd is a factor. So maybe some of these close rounds will go to Charles Martin. I mean not Charles Martin, but Anthony Joshua. But I'm gonna wrap it up, man. In my opinion, Charles Martin does have the skill set, the temperament, way better temperament than Dillian White. I think Dillian White fights on like aggression and emotion, and I think he got tagged early and probably lost his bearing. But Charles Martin, I think will have more poise, and I really do feel as if he's gonna get his punch off first. Because I think Anthony Joshua just might be at awe when he sees a southpaw. When he sees a southpaw, when that bell rings, and they say like, hey, like when that bell rings, and Charles Martin's right there, and there's only like an inch difference when he sees a guy just as big as him in a southpaw stance, with proper foot placement and stuff like that, and just gauging distance and stuff like that. I think that's gonna worry Anthony Joshua because now he would have to outbox an opponent. I don't think we've seen Anthony Joshua outbox. We know he can punch. He's got that power punch. He's a strong puncher, man. So he really hasn't had to outbox anybody. It's not like Deontay Wilder. While Deontay Wilder's doing check left hooks and stuff like that, and doing feints with like Duhaupas or whatever his name, Johan Duhaupas, whatever you want to call his name, Duhaupas or Duhaupas. And he's digging to the body and stuff like that. He's setting up left hooks and stuff. We haven't seen Anthony Joshua do that. I haven't seen him do that, except for in this like Dillian White fight. It looked like it was a war. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like doing it off the back foot and taking his time, looked like he's setting up punches and stuff like that. Like what Deontay Wilder did to Spilka, I don't think we've seen like Anthony Joshua do that. Take a step back, put that jab up and like just knock your dude out at like the ninth round. Like bam, there you go. That's it. That's what I was looking for all night. You know what I'm saying? I was just looking to end it. But yeah, man. Charles Martin doesn't seem to be a guy that's gonna struggle. Anthony Joshua seems to be a guy that's gonna that might lose his composure and welt. He's gonna welt under pressure from Charles Martin and go ahead and get knocked out, man. But Hey, he might as well take the risk now, man. You know what I'm saying? There's a belt out there waiting for him. He's get to hold on to it if he gets a chance to win. But I got Charles Martin by knockout, man. I got him by knockout, at least a TKO late. Late. I think Charles Martin's just gonna wait, hover around him, use that jab. I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna maybe just press the action around the third round, pretty much like the Glasgow fight. I think he's gonna just circle him, see if he can land a few punches because he sits down on his punches, man. He sits down on his punches. People say he's slow, but he sits down on his punches pretty much like what's his name, like Bermain Stavern was trying to do with what he did with Chris Arreola, man. Just sitting down waiting. You might say he's a plutter or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Heavy on the front foot, but whatever, man. He's gonna sit down on his punches, and he's gonna be waiting for Anthony Joshua, and vice versa. Vice versa. I think Anthony Joshua's gonna be waiting to let his hands go, but I think Charles Martin being a southpaw stance, being the unknown, being the underdog, is gonna get him the advantage. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna get him the advantage. And it's gonna be a surprise. I think Anthony Joshua just might be getting caught up into the crowd. He might be smelling his own urine a little bit too much, and Charles Martin's gonna just come in there like Holly Holmes versus Ronda Rousey, all humble and quiet, and before you know it, Anthony Joshua's gonna be knocked out. But yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see, man. I'm going for Charles Martin in that one. Let me know what y'all think, man. Y'all see anything that Anthony Joshua can like take advantage of with Charles Martin? Is maybe I'm missing something, but yeah, Charles Martin kept his hands up in that fight, man. That Glasgow fight, he used to have his hands low sometimes. I seen like another fight, he had his hands low, but he kept his hands up this time, and I think he's gonna do it again. Keep his hands up, and and get the TKO. Let me know what y'all think. All right, bye.